Welcome back to the Newsmakers. Now, almost 63 million Americans voted for Donald Trump in 2016, but 12 months later, is Trump the commander-in-chief as popular as Trump the candidate? Well, a recent Gallup poll suggests not. Only 35% of those surveyed said they approved of the job that he was doing, the lowest of any president in his first year since Gallup started counting. Edith Tianshan has more from Washington.
It's been an interesting year at the White House with a leader who seems to have redefined the U.S. presidency. And we've seen this more than ever in the way he uses Twitter, his language, and the way he handles the most sensitive issues like North Korea. It's difficult to quantify just how much he's achieved on this journey he calls Making America Great Again. Despite his hardline views on immigration, his executive orders putting a travel ban on several Muslim countries have been repeatedly blocked by federal judges. His attempt to dismantle a youth migration program called DACA is still being negotiated. And undocumented people in America now say they feel more insecure than ever.
Well, of course, still with us here in the studio is Tina Datta from Republicans Abroad and Ahmed Bedier from the United Voices for America. And joining us now from Miami in Florida is John Cardillo. He's the host of the talk show Off the Cuff. John Cardillo, thank you very much for joining us. So let's talk immigration. Was Trump right to use, do you think, that S-hole word when discussing immigration from predominantly black nations?
Look, there's not even confirmation that he used that word. It was one senator, Dick Durbin, who claimed he did. We've got Senators
Lindsey Graham kind of backed it up as well.
Well, Lindsey Graham wasn't in the room. Lindsey Graham wasn't in the room when it was allegedly said. Senators Cotton and Perdue say it was never said. The Homeland Security Secretary Nielsen says it was never said. People are hysterical, but if the president made a casual comment in passing to an aide about the state of certain nations and he used a pejorative to do it, so what? It's not a big deal. Presidents are known to have had vulgar mouths. Bill Clinton's rants, his cursing, pejorative rants are famous. The media never went hysterical. Barack Obama and Joe Biden were known to use that kind of language about the opposition. No one cared. George Bush used that language. He was caught on a hot mic with then Prime Minister of England, Tony Blair.
We'll bring you guys in a second.
So nobody cared,
but
when it's Donald Trump, all of a sudden it's a catastrophe, and these nations are in terrible, terrible shape. So even if he did say it, he wasn't wrong.
Ahmed, it's not the word, is it? It's the context the word is used in, and it's the fact that it's coming out of the mouth.
And this is the talking point that his allies are trying to use. Hey, these guys use vulgar language all the time, but this is not about the type of language. It's about the context. He's talking about a specific people. This is racist, and it's consistent with his previous racist remarks, calling Mexicans rapists, calling Muslims all type of derogatory terms. This is consistent behavior with Trump. This is the type of person he is, and that's why some people elected him, because in fact he is perceived to be racist, and a large number of his base happens to share those views.
How is it racist?
It's not.
When you call people that are predominantly black that their countries are S-hole countries,
no, it's
that
not
is
racist. It might be economic. It might be
economic.
It has to do more with the economic situations in those countries. It has absolutely nothing to do with the race. And the other thing I'd like to say on this, I would like to say the one thing that's important. Norway is one of the most successful countries in the world.
But Tina, the point is the juxtaposition between Norway, a white country, and places like Haiti and places in sub-Saharan Africa that he was talking about.
Okay, well, any other country that he was talking about are poverty-stricken nations, and he's talking about people coming into our nation and using our social services, and that's specifically what he's addressing. The other thing I'd like to say is that when the quote was disclosed, that was a private meeting held between senators and the president. And it's unparalleled when a senator will walk out of a meeting with the president and disclose a private discussion that was held with the president. You never saw stuff like that doing. You never saw.
We're not going to go down the rabbit hole of leaking. But John, I just wanted to bring you back to the point here about whether there was racial overtones in what Trump says. Now, he hasn't helped himself, has he? As Ahmed said, he started his whole campaign by calling Mexicans rapists. He said just a couple of weeks ago that Nigerians, once they came to America, wouldn't go back to their huts. With that kind of rhetoric, how else are you meant to think the man thinks?
Look, it's not racist. Look, we have high incidence of sexual assault with regards to certain immigrants, and especially illegal aliens. Europe has a rape rate. No, it's not a lie. It is proven criminological statistic.
Most criminals in America are not black people or brown people.
You can throw out all the left-wing talking points. You can throw out all the left-wing
these are
talking
facts.
points you want, but if you want to look at, want to let me finish? If you want to look at current FBI data here in the U.S., black men murder at a rate 22 times their representation in the population. Let me finish. 9 to 10 times the rate of white men in the same age range. So the criminological data bears it out. Now, back to Trump. Trump talked about nations. Nations. He said El Salvador.
Nations
He
happen to
said,
be black or brown.
He said, but then here's the problem. Those nations are in terrible shape. Do you vacation in Uganda? Do you vacation in Somalia?
Many people do vacation in those areas, John. I mean, let's just...
Yes, I've actually vacationed in Uganda, and it's a nice place.
I mean, John, it was a fantastic statistic you brought for us. Obviously, we don't have those stats for us, and you're taking them yourselves. Ahmed, I mean, to pick up on that point that there is a disproportionate number of people killed, that's not really what we're discussing here. We're discussing whether the man who lives in the White House has a tendency
His
towards...
job is to bring people together, not to continually go after black and brown people, to go after immigrants. This has been part of his platform. And for people to come down and say, no, that's not what he meant. If it was a one-off, that's maybe one thing that we could understand. But this is consistent. He's been regularly going after and attacking with these racist overtones against black and brown people, against Muslims, against minorities. And it's just... It's appalling.
Tina, shouldn't he be bringing people together?
Let me add one thing there.
John, 1 second, please. John, 1 second, please.
Let me just say this, having to do with immigration. What he's talking about is illegal immigration into the United States. Okay, and illegal immigration into the United States, unfortunately, has come from brown nations, mostly in South America, are illegal immigration.
This is the same person who hired illegal immigrants.
But what I want to also say, to just clarify something, I'm also married to an Indian gentleman. I have 4 brown-skinned children. So I take personally when we talk about brown pressure in the United States. I have 2 boys that are heavily employed. They're 24 years old, and they both have jobs. They have not experienced what you're talking about, but they are also brown-skinned. This issue is illegal immigration into the United States, and unfortunately, the discussion, when it talks about racism, left-wing wants to go straight to race. It is not. It has to do with the countries with which illegal immigration is coming to the United States.
That's code language for racial overtones.
Tina.
John, no, it's not racial overtone.
John Cardillo,
let me say this.
John, I have to stop
First
it there.
of all,
I do apologise, John. We can talk about this all night, as you well know, but I do have to stop it there. Thank you very much for joining us, John Cardillo in Miami, Florida.